the owner was at her wits end. She felt like she tried everything. Hey, darling, what do you want to do? Nutrition is such a controversial topic, and there's some important points that every cat parent should know. It's absolutely overwhelming, the choices out there with cat food, and I know you want what's best for your cat, so I want to share with you what I come across every day in practice, what mistakes I've seen and how to avoid them. And so if you watch this video, you'll know how to avoid these mistakes. I'm Dr. Liz. I'm a feline-only vet, and I talk to people about nutrition every day. It's something I think about with my patients because I know how important it is. We're going to talk about why nutrition is so important and what's so unique about cats, how to know you're feeding the right diet for your cat, what are the pros and cons of all the different options, and what I feed to my cats, Maisy and Niko. I'm just about to head to work and I was doing some editing, and then I realized I forgot to hit record on this section yesterday for some reason. Work's going to be interesting today. I did a lot of overtime yesterday. We're a little bit understaffed and just a lot of sick cats. And then we're actually halfway through a renovation. So I'm actually consulting out of a demountable building to take the cats out in the carrier and the rain and the sun. But anyway, we'll get through it. So I did just want to talk to you about the really important thing that it's unique to cats. So we have the saying in the industry, they're not small dogs. Cats are obligate carnivores. They have needs for protein. They can't switch off their metabolism. So if they fast for more than 24 hours, they start going into secondary liver issues. It can go anywhere up to sort of 12 days, called hepatic lipidosis. We see it a lot more in the United States rather than Australia for some reason. And also just interesting things like with the being carnivore, they need the taurine in their food for heart and eye health. They can't get vitamin D from the sun, so that has to be in their food as well. And they have a lot of other traits that they've kept from the wild cats. So neophilia, where it's that they love new foods. That's why they might seem fussy. This is to try and make sure they're getting all those nutrients in their diet. And then the opposite is neophobia, so when they're afraid of new foods, and that can also be a protective thing to trying to stop them from getting poisons. What's wrong with raw feeding? Why don't vets like it? So it's a bit of a myth that it's more of a natural diet. The natural diet for the cat was to go out and hunt a rodent. They would catch it fresh and eat it within that critical time period of where the bacteria develops. They would eat the whole carcass, so the offal, the bones. So they're getting all the vitamins and minerals they need. They're not going to the shops, the supermarket, and buying raw mince and then keeping that in the fridge for a few days. There's a reason why humans can't eat raw chicken, raw mince. It's the high levels of pathogenic bacteria which cooking will destroy. If you're going to feed something, make it beef. Humans can eat a rare steak, and that's definitely the lowest risk thing. Another myth is that freezing will kill all the parasites. So freezing for 2 to 3 days does kill the toxoplasma, so the protozoan that can make cats very sick, but it doesn't kill all the salmonella bacteria, for example. So if there is that bacteria in there, and it's been lying dormant, and then you feed it, especially if you leave it out, so it'll spoil within half an hour, especially in this hot climate we live in. The bacteria just reaches crazy numbers. And if you've ever had gastro, you know how awful it is. It can be fatal if it's not treated and if it's serious enough. So it's definitely something you don't want to have to deal with. It's also not suitable if your cat is a grazer, because you just can't feed it, walk away for half a day. Like, you've got to remove it after half an hour, and it's risky if you've got your young children nearby, and because they've had cases of E. coli spread through the family. It's really important to be careful with hygiene, even more so than normal. So for some reason, breeders do seem to advocate for this a lot. Not all breeders, but I have seen in practice a lot where they've said, oh, the breeder said to feed this, so I was feeding mostly that, and it's like unbalanced. So you might even see on the packaging with some of these raw foods it'll say supplementary feeding only. That means it's only supposed to take up 10% of total calories, and people would just be feeding that like 50% of the diet, and that's wrong. And then we're seeing the cases of gastro and the cat might end up needing antibiotics, and then their whole gut flora is thrown out for the rest of their life, which can lead to other problems and behavioral, like mental health, anxiety. Nutrition is something we could definitely all know more about, but it's in saying that vets have studied for years and years, and not all vets have done extra study. I've been on the nutrition panel for a corporate practice, so I did see the behind the scenes on actually working with a nutritionist, and then along with them, like a panel of experts, we were developing new pet foods. And so I've seen a little bit of the behind the scenes. I definitely have the passion for it. I've seen firsthand my own life how important nutrition is, and definitely my patients. I've seen it improve not only quality of life, but longevity is a big one too. So yeah, and nutrition is actually a medicine. It will treat certain diseases like liver disease, kidney disease, pancreatitis. That will lead us on to dry food, and this is probably where some of the controversy has come, because it's cooked at that high temperature, it's removing all that moisture, and so you do have some nutrient loss there. And there's been a bit of another myth about irradiated pet food. So Australia does have really strict biosecurity. We don't want pests and diseases brought to the country, so there was irradiation practices going on. But since 2009, it has been banned from cat food specifically. So another reason to check the packaging, it will say on there, must not be fed to cats if it's been irradiated, because the irradiation doesn't make the food radioactive, but in killing those pests, it does then really diminish the nutrient quality. So you'll be not having enough thiamine. It's been scientific studies have shown it's caused neurological issues. So we know that the dry food that has made it into Australia, like some of it's made in Australia, but a lot of it can be imported. So we know that that's not irradiated, so it hasn't lost all its nutrients. It's a myth. I don't judge anyone for feeding dry food, and it's more economical. It's convenient. We live busy lives, and especially if your cat is a grazer, you might need to leave it out for the day. The downsides there are it's really calorie dense, so our pets are prone to obesity, and especially when they're quite inactive. When they're de-sexed, they're more prone to it as well, and so you might actually not realize how much calories you're feeding in the dry food, because it's basically only like 10% water. Check out my video about Ozempic for cats, because for some people they have literally tried everything, and so that's a watch this space area for the future. Very exciting. Make sure that the packaging, again, it's like the raw feeding, make sure it says complete and balanced. Really important there. What's wrong with dry food as well is how little water it has. So cats really do need, their natural diet was a high moisture diet, and we've just talked about the problems with raw, but yeah, so with dry, you do actually want to complement that with wet food that's going to be complete and balanced as well. It's going to have like an 80-90% water content, which is closer to their more natural diet, and that's the main downside of dry, especially if you've got a cat that's had urinary or kidney issues. The problems with dry is what has led to these relatively newer diets like the freeze-dried. So how does freeze-dried work? The food has been frozen, and then it's raw food. So you need to think of it like raw food because it hasn't been cooked, while it is sort of packaged and able to be transported in a different way because the water has been all vacuumed out. It's actually designed to be rehydrated. So it's about 70% water content. But if you feed it just as is, like if your cat doesn't like the texture, which a lot of cats won't, it's going to be like that, real light and crispy and meant to be quite palatable. But it's not enough water. It's actually even worse than dry food. It's only got 2% water content. So think of how bad that is for dehydration levels, especially in this hot weather. You might want to make sure you're not buying a product that said used as a topper only for the palatability issues. And also be careful with hygiene. Treat it like raw food. I'd be especially careful with freeze-dried in senior cats. If they won't eat it with the moisture added, the water added back in, I would be feeding something else. Air dried is different. It's cooked at a lower temperature, so it is going to kill that bacteria. It's more of a slow dehydration, trying to combat the issues with dry food, more of a nutrient preservation, less processed style. However, it is still 9% moisture, only 9% moisture, not like the canned food or the natural diet that's 60, 80% moisture. It's going to be, compared to freeze and dry food, it's going to be more of like a jerky, chewy texture. So some cats might not like that either. Homemade is another controversial one, and there's a reason why vets don't like it. I guess it's a myth in a way that, oh, you can't actually do a balanced diet at home. Sure, you can. Why don't vets advocate for it? Well, think about this. So, do you religiously brush your pet's teeth when you should, daily or even weekly? Do you meet their worming requirements? So it's just hard to get the nutrient profile right. It's a lot of work. And what about people in their own diets? No one's perfect. Life happens. So this is where, we're seeing health issues. So with the manufactured food, that has had the hard work done for you. You can, even if you want to do homemade, good on you, for wanting to put in that effort and give your pet the best health, your cat the best health possible. You can buy supplements, so from specific nutrition places that have made sure, they've done the recipes, they've done the extra study in nutrition and making sure that they're meeting the requirements. Also, it's a safety issue. So if you make an error in the meat and you cause food poisoning for your cat, that's on you. However, if you buy a mass-produced product, sure, there is some problems with regulation. However, if there's a mass food poisoning outbreak, that will be traced. There is a website you can go to report this, and vets will do that when they're seeing cases, especially if we're seeing trends. So years ago, there was this imported product from Asia that caused this Fanconi, renal kidney issue in dogs, and that was traced to that specific product. So rest assured that it is safer to feed produced food for those reasons. They've got, in America, the AFCO, and they're going to have done all the feeding trials, so making sure that those pets were healthy, didn't get sick, and had all their nutrient requirements met. I'm definitely not against this. In general, I don't advocate it for it, but I have there's a memorable case where this cat was a beautiful Burmese with chronic diarrhea. The owner was at her wits end. She felt like she tried everything. Her cat wouldn't eat the low allergy dry foods that are available out there, and they don't have a lot of wet options. She was feeding this meat, this novel meat like goat meat, and we know that is not safe for long-term feeding. They're going to get issues long-term with feeding that. So I directed her to the Veterinary Nutrition Group website. It's made by a vet who's done extra study in nutrition. There were the recipes there, and then she bought the supplements, and it was such a good outcome. This pet's chronic, months going to years diarrhea had been cured. It was amazing. So the power of the right diet. I've brought you over closer here to see what I feed. Maisy is wondering what is going on. Why is there food over here? Hey, darling, what do you want to do? Okay, so obviously I keep the food in these airtight containers, and then I'll grab it out and show you Maisy's diet. It's the Royal Canin hypoallergenic. We still need to make sure that that's sealed. Obviously, that's one of the bigger known brands, and I do get a industry discount, but that is not why I feed it. I've been feeding this since before then, because I found Maisie would vomit at least once a week when she was not on this food, sometimes more often. And so it's got the hydrolyzed protein. What it is it's broken down into smaller molecules, and the idea is that their immune system doesn't react to it, because Maisie has inflammatory bowel disease. It's been diagnosed on an ultrasound, not through biopsies, which is the more definitive diagnosis, but basically it's more of a food responsive enteropathy. She did used to eat the Hills ZD. I've tried the Ziwi pig venison. She doesn't like it. She seemed to get sick of the Hills palatability issue, whatever it was. But yeah, this has been a long-term one for her. However, she notices when I feed Niko wet, and so I do buy her this because she likes it. It's just a mature consult, and obviously that's not the low allergen, but I am I'm taking down her allergen load, so she can sometimes get away with eating some of the non-low allergen one. And I also, because she's in palliative care, like she's here for a good time, not a long time. Like I want her to, like I give her the, you know, treats, greenies for teeth, but like the Temptations, you know, it's not the best food, but it's just a little treat, the little churros, mousse tubes, just so she, if I ever have to do something to her, like clip her nails, brush her, I give her a treat to make it more of an enjoyable experience. I just make sure that the treats don't take up more than 10% of total daily calories. I say Niko's food's here. He's also in the airtight container, and then you're supposed to actually keep it in the bag like I do here, because even though I'm not the best at resealing it, it does stay fresher. Like it's going to taste better if it stays in that. He also used to have the Hills brand, the CD. It had the stress component in it. So the reason why he's on this is because he's been blocked. So that's life-threatening. He's had a ureteral, so the tube from the kidney to the bladder has had a stone blocking it, and then he's also had like a mucus plug twice in his urethra, so he's had to be anaesthetized, have a catheter put in, and then he's basically one step away from being surgically having a surgical sex change, a perineal urethrostomy. Shouldn't laugh, like it's actually a life-saving thing for some cats. So I did have him on, there's another school thought you can have 100% wet food of any brand. I had him on that on recommendation from a specialist, and that's when he got that other obstruction. It was really funny. I woke up one morning, Saturday, I had to go to work, and sitting on the toilet, and we have one of our many litter trays in the toilet, and I saw him straining, and I was like, oh my God. And yeah, I think it just literally had happened. I caught it really quickly. I've also had him have episodes of straining, and it just needed pain relief. We can talk more about that in another video, but yeah, I cannot feed him 100% dry. It's not enough moisture. So I feed the urinary. I feed 2 of these a day. I was feeding 3 a day at one point. I will admit, yeah, economics come into it, and you're paying for mostly water. So I give him a very small amount of the dry food just to satiate him. I give it to him late at night. He is a bit of a night owl, or early bird, should I say. He'll wake us up at 3, 4, 5 a.m. wanting food, especially if we miss that nighttime feed. Why don't I feed raw? Other than the reasons talked about earlier with the pathogenic bacteria, I am going for convenience. And so you might say, look, I just can't feed enough wet food because I'm out at work for 12 hours a day. I get it. So I bought the Cat It. I actually forget what it's called, but I can link it in the description. It's basically got 6 compartments, and for different, it's compatible with wet food. It comes with an ice pack that you pop in the bottom. So for climates like ours, really hot, and you don't want the wet food to spoil, it'll stay cold, which may or may not work for your cat. But what I used to do, I would pop, I'll show you, I would pop in the first section, I'm gonna get the battery working, but in the first section I put wet, and then what it does is it turns around at the allocated time. So you've got the cat wanting to eat more like, it basically has 6 meals per 24 hours. So I'd have treats in one and dry towards the end of the night, the end of the day. So I'd know that the food that's been out the longest, that's the ice pack's going to have defrosted unless I replace it. That's not going to be spoiled. Whereas the wet food, that gets taken away and then it gets covered up, so it does stay fresh. It's not being exposed to oxygen and flies and things and other cats in the household, and so that really has been helpful. What I ended up doing was changing to a microchip feeder. I'll show you. This is Maisy's one, so this is also an investment. Needs a bit of a clone. So Niko is a pig. He will eat all of Maisy's food if I let him. So this was originally bought for her. It has a button on the back, but that opens it, and it helps it stay fresh too. Stops the dog getting in, although she's almost destroyed the other one. It's like really noisy now. But yeah, I changed to dry for him. I think I changed to the microchip when I started feeding more dry for him. And I do actually just feed them their wet in an open bowl because they usually eat it quite quickly, and I don't mind if they share a little bit of the wet, especially at the moment. And that obviously gets washed every day, stays fresh. And so yeah, I haven't actually been using this lately, but it definitely is an excellent option and I would really recommend it. The microchip feeders were expensive as well. They're the Sure Pet ones. You can get the cheap ones from elsewhere, but these have been excellent and they have withstood my Labrador attacking them. And I've had them for years. I've had one of them for years, and yeah, going really well, good support. And I always advocate for people say, my cats eat different diets, I can't do it. It's like, no, you actually can. Unless there are guts and eat all their food in one go. If you want to go to the effort of shutting them in separate rooms, great. But if you want to be, I guess, more relaxed about it like me, just invest in a microchip feeder. They're great. So that's what I feed. I want to know, do you have any questions about this? And did you find this video helpful? Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for updates. Thanks for watching.